Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're peeling back the layers on something we all do pretty much every day, buying things.
Yeah.
We've got a really fascinating stack of sources here that explain this intricate dance between consumer trends and our own individual buying behavior. Our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack the why and the how behind your purchasing decisions. Hopefully, you're going to walk away with a whole new perspective on your shopping cart, whether it's virtual or the real thing.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, I think, is how much of what we buy is influenced by forces, well, far beyond our immediate conscious thought. We'll explore everything from, global events to some really deep personal motivations, helping you understand the kind of invisible currents that shape the marketplace.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our sources reveal that consumer trends are constantly shifting, always adapting to changing conditions. Think about global event like a world oil price increase suddenly. Car buyers' behavior changes, right? You see increased sales of smaller, more efficient cars, electric vehicles, even motor scooters making a comeback.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about consumers' lifestyles adjusting. Adjusting to social, economic, or environmental issues. Successful marketers are, well, they're constantly watching these shifts. This raises a pretty important question. What societal changes are currently shaping your purchasing habits?
Yeah, and we see a huge example of this in the health space, don't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Our sources highlight how health concerns are a major driver. I mean, we're bombarded with research on too much salt, additives, fat, sugar.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
So what do marketers do? They highlight the healthy aspects of products, obviously.
Precisely. Those phrases like low in cholesterol, 98% fat-free, no added sugar you see everywhere on food packaging, they're direct appeals to that health-conscious consumer. And it leads to completely new goods and services, too. Think about cafes offering superfoods, things like avocados everywhere, turmeric lattes, acai bowls.
Oh, yeah, those are everywhere now. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Dairy milk alternatives, like soy, oat, and almond milks. They were once so niche, weren't they?
Totally niche. Health food stores only, pretty much.
And now they're everywhere. In most cafes, all the supermarkets. It's a massive shift. Pharmacies are also boosting sales with tons of new vitamins and well-being supplements. And don't forget the rise of lifestyle services, acupuncture, yoga, personal trainers, nutritionists. It's exploded.
And another undeniable influence is environmental and economic changes. Those world oil price hikes in 2011 and again in 2022, they didn't just nudge things along, they profoundly altered buying behavior in the global new car market.
Right.
Consumers started demanding more economical and, importantly, environmentally responsible vehicles, including electric ones, of course.
And beyond what we buy, our sources point out this massive change in how we purchase. Online shopping, it's just exploded.
Hasn't it just?
The Australian Financial Review reported that online sales jumped from around, 8% of retail sales pre-pandemic
Yeah, something like that.
to hovering around 10% now. Now, that might not sound huge as a percentage, but that's like $2 billion out of $20 billion in monthly retail trade happening online. That's significant.
It really is, and it means having an online marketing presence is just, well, it's essential now, it's not optional. Customers increasingly want accessibility to businesses at all times, making advertising on search engines like Google absolutely crucial.
Okay, so we know the trends, these big external factors. But what about the individual? What about you? Successful marketing, it seems, starts with understanding why and how consumers behave. While market research asks who, what, when, how often, customer behavior digs deeper, right? It asks the crucial question, why do they buy?
Exactly, and the level of decision-making effort you put in varies significantly depending on the purchase. For those low-priced, regularly purchased products, maybe magazine, ice cream, your daily coffee, it's mostly habit. Very little active research involved.
Okay, makes sense. Just grab and go.
Pretty much. But for occasional purchases, like clothing, maybe shoes, you put in a bit more effort, right? You look around a bit more.
Yeah, compare styles, maybe check a price or two online.
Right. But then when you're buying something really expensive or unfamiliar or something you buy very seldom, like a motor vehicle or even a home, our sources say you'll do a large amount of research, really comparing products, prices, features.
That's what they call a comprehensive level of decision-making. A lot more involved.
And what's fascinating here is that the main reason for this difference in involvement, this difference in effort, is the level of perceived risk.
Risk. How so?
Well, as your perceived risk goes up, financial risk, social risk, performance risk, your involvement in the buying process is likely to rise too. It makes intuitive sense.
Okay, yeah. The more you feel you have to lose, the more careful you are. Our sources even present a sort of simple formula for decision-making, though it's intriguingly incomplete in the text we saw. It mentions capacity to pay and attitude towards, leaving us to kind of ponder what comes next in that equation, probably need or desire.
That seems likely, and it actually provides a perfect segue into digging deeper into that why. Our sources identify four main factors, sort of pillars that influence consumer purchasing decisions: psychological, sociocultural, economic, and government influences.
Okay, 4 pillars. Let's start with psychological influences. First up, perception. Apparently, we often act on our perceptions of reality, not necessarily reality itself, which sounds a bit philosophical, but makes sense in marketing.
It really does. Marketers work incredibly hard to create a positive perception of their product in your mind. Because if you perceive a product as poor quality, or maybe just not for people like you simply won't buy it, regardless of the objective facts.
Yeah, I remember that bit about perceptions being created from sensations, taste, sight, sound, smell, touch. It's all feeding into that overall image.
Exactly. And next, under psychological factors are motives. These are the underlying reasons individuals do something, why you act. Our sources list common motives like comfort, health, safety, ambition, taste, pleasure, even fear, amusement, cleanliness, and the approval of others.
Wow, that's a broad list.
It is. And advertising constantly tries to tap into these motives, connecting their product to fulfilling one of those needs or desires.
Then there's your attitude, your overall feeling or opinion towards a business and its products. Apparently, this generally influences the success or failure of a marketing strategy. A bad attitude is hard to shift.
Very hard. And finally, personality. This, to some extent, influences the types and brands of products you buy. Are you adventurous, cautious, outdoorsy? That can guide your choices.
Okay, that's the psychological side. What about sociocultural influences, forces from other people?
Right. These are forces exerted by other people around you. First, there's family and roles. Even though traditional roles have evolved a lot, market research, interestingly, still shows that in many households, women often make the primary buying decisions for things like healthcare products, food, and laundry supplies.
Interesting that some of that still holds. Then there are peer groups, people of your own age, or maybe similar experiences or interests.
Yeah, your reference groups.
Your buying behavior might change to align with their beliefs and attitudes. You want to fit in or be seen in a certain way by them.
It raises that question, doesn't it? How much are your friends influencing your latest purchases, maybe without you even realizing it?
Definitely something to think about.
Then there's social class, often classified, maybe crudely sometimes, by education, occupation, and income. This also plays a role, influencing the type, quality, and even the quantity of products people buy, where they shop, too.
And finally, culture and subculture. Culture, they say, infiltrates everything we do.
It's pervasive.
What we wear, what and how we eat, where and how we live. It's all shaped by our cultural background.
Absolutely. And subcultures, groups like hipsters or maybe gamers or environmentalists differentiate themselves from the larger culture, creating distinct patterns of consumption.
Okay, pillar number 3, economic influences. This one feels a bit more straightforward.
It often is on the surface. During an economic boom, you generally feel more secure about your job, your income.
So you're more willing to spend, maybe buy that bigger ticket item.
Exactly. But during a recession, the opposite happens. Fear creeps in, uncertainty. And consumer spending can fall dramatically. People tighten their belts.
Right. Makes total sense.
And lastly, the fourth pillar, government influences.
How does the government step in?
Well, governments use broad economic policy measures, things like interest rates or taxes, that can directly or indirectly affect overall spending habits in the economy. But perhaps more immediately for the consumer, there are regulations. Laws dealing with, say, misleading and deceptive advertising.
Okay. So consumer protection laws.
Exactly. They protect you as a consumer, but they also influence how businesses can market their products. Think about safety standards for toys or labeling requirements for food.
Got it. So psychological, sociocultural, economic, and government. Those are the big 4 influencers. So wrapping this up, what does this all mean? Where does this leave us? Our sources really emphasize that successful marketers, the ones who thrive, need to be acutely aware of all these changes, the shifts in social trends, consumer lifestyles.
They have to keep their finger on the pulse.
Absolutely. If they want to maintain or grow their customer base, they can't stand still.
And businesses also need to understand these deeper factors influencing why customers behave the way they do. Those four pillars we just discussed: the psychological, sociocultural, economic, and government influences. It's a really complex tapestry.
Yeah, this deep dive has certainly shown us that our purchasing decisions aren't simple. They're this fascinating blend of our own personal preferences and these powerful external forces acting upon us.
Which leads to a final thought, really, for you listening. Now that you're more aware of these influences, the trends, the psychological triggers, the social pressures, how might this understanding change the way you approach your next purchase? Or even just how you perceive the products and marketing all around you? What stands out most clearly to you now?